to the intro. Good evening, Aston Villa fans. Welcome to the Villa4Ever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, please hit subscribe. This evening, I'm joined by my special guest, former Aston Villa striker, Garry Thompson. His nickname is well known as Tomo. He's played for other clubs, including Coventry City, West Bromwich Albion, Crystal Palace, Watford, Sheffield Wednesday, and QPR. Also, his voice is very well known on BBC WM, covering the Aston Villa games. All right, Garry, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Chad. Yourself?
Yes, I'm really good, thank you. It's an absolute honour to have you on this show. You're an Aston Villa legend.
That's nice. I mean, like, because I'm a Villa fan. As a kid, we'd look at certain players and they'd be legends. And for me, a legend is someone like Brian Little, for example, or Andy Gray, the spell he had at Aston Villa the first time round, or someone that won something like Charlie Aitken. I didn't say Charlie won, sorry, but someone like Charlie Aitken's played 1 million games. So for me, there's very few legends at any club, really. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can call me every now and again. I don't mind that.
I bet you're proud of what you achieved, though.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I'm a kid. My dad's a mad Villa fan, and back when my mum and dad came from the West Indies, my dad would go to Blues one week and Villa the next week. Obviously, by the time the motorways are built and that, then it all becomes tribal. And so my dad has to make a choice, and he decides for Villa. And so as a kid, we grew up. He was a Villa fan. My older brother Ian was a massive Villa fan, and so it just seemed natural for me. I was being a pain in the ass one day, and my uncle Charlie turned up, and he went, "Right, you're coming with me." And we got 2 buses. We ended up down at Villa Park. I actually sat in the Trinity, and I saw my first game. Villa were in the old 3rd division, and I was so low at the Trinity because he was eye level with the pitch and that. And I looked at that and I thought, like, yes, this is me all day. I've got to have some of this. And I spent the next few years trying to get near to that. But yeah, that's my first feeling of being around Villa Park and deciding, yeah, I do like it. It was actually, the deal was sold when Santos came and Pele and that. And they played, my old man took me and my brother down.
Oh, Pele, that would be amazing seeing Pele.
Oh, well, we've seen him in the World Cup in 1970. And obviously 2 years later, or 3 years later, Doug's managed to get him down to Villa Park. So we didn't even think our dad, we knew he was coming, but our dad just turned up from work and we finished school and that. And he just said, get your gear. And we were off. Didn't say where we were going. Ended up at Villa Park. Ended up getting in with the crowd, getting into the ground and that and watching the game. And it all went by in a blur. I mean, apparently, from what people tell me, the floodlights failed and all that. But I think that's just Doug's way of keeping the score level light. But yeah, that's when, from then on, like, I'm 13 or 14, I'm going to be a Villa fan. I was always leaning that way, but that sealed the deal.
Because you grew up into a Villa family there?
Yeah, my family, because of my dad, a big Villa fan. My brother was a big Villa fan. My other brother that came across from the West Indies, he ended up leaning towards Villa as well. My sister, who was a barrister, was an athlete. She wasn't really interested in football, but if she had to choose someone, she'd have chose Villa. So we were leaning that way. But I was born in Kings Heath, and but we moved to the Maypole. Now Kings Heath and Maypole, it's all Blues. And when I went to school,
from Birmingham as well.
Yeah, so like everyone down there, they're blue, their noses, aren't they? So it was very strange for me to be a Villa fan, but for me, I didn't know any different. My old man was a Villa fan, and I loved the claret and blue, and I wanted to play for Villa, or if not, support the Villa.
And Garry, before I get more into the interview,
yeah,
I just want to do an introduction about the condition.
Yeah, sure.
And Dan, can you scroll up my notes for me? Just go up a little bit, thank you. Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a progressive fatal muscle wasting disease. Muscles deteriorate. leading to paralysis, heart and lung failure, and early death. Duchenne is 100% fatal. There is currently no cure. Very few people live beyond the age of 30. Duchenne affects mostly boys, but in some cases, it can happen to girls, but it's very rare. It's very important that we need to create awareness of D&D today. 24 years on, there is still no cure for this cruel disease. Please let's all help spread awareness. So Gary, can you spread some awareness for me?
Yeah, I mean, when I read the email, I glanced at the email and that, and I read about it and what you've just said now. I mean, you don't realise sometimes the things are right under your nose. But yeah, I mean, if you need me to help pass the word or whatever, like, I mean, that's all you have got to do is ask. I mean, it's not a problem.
Thank you. So much into football from an early age?
Yeah. Obviously, we're sporting family, as it were. And my brother and my sister came over from the West Indies when I was about, I think, 6 or 7. And my sister was 12, my other brother was 11. They came over from the West Indies. Before that was my mum, my dad, and me 2 other brothers. So there's 5 of us in a family. This family becomes 7. And from then, Glyn, who came over from the West Indies, he was playing football. He played football with my brother Ian. And obviously I was the second youngest. I wanted to get involved. They weren't having it. And so, as I said before, like, what does any self-respecting 6 or 7-year-old do? Goes and cries to his mum. Yeah. And so therefore my mum ended up getting me in the game. I played the game, but I'm always playing against people older than myself. So naturally you learn quickly and you become better. And so that's how it all started. But then I was just fascinated by the ball. I was fascinated by people playing. I loved Match of the Day, which was the only sport game that was on in the FA Cup final. They very rarely showed anything else. And we'd be all around the TV. And we love football. Went to school. We played football before school. When they called you into school, you did your lessons. Went out at playtime, played football then. You broke up for lunch, you played football then. We just played football all the time. By the time I've gone to secondary school, that's where I met Paul Dyson, who is instrumental in me actually getting a career. That's when it all went from there. But we just played football. In the summer, we played cricket, but it would always lead back towards football or tennis. We were very sporting, but wanted to play football, loved sports, we did athletics and all that, but the first love for all of us in the family was always going to be football.
I think it's like it's not a dedication as well.
Yeah, but if you love something, it doesn't seem as if it's a massive hardship, because where we lived in the terraced house, we had what they call we call a gully or an entry. And in the entry, it separates the 2 houses. I'd go in there and I'd be banging the ball against the wall all the time, banging it. And Mrs. O'Shea, the lovely Irish lady who lives next door, used to come round and she'd see me and she's all right. She'd go and speak to me mum and dad. Said, for the love of God, can you just stop that kid kicking the ball? That's all he seems to do. And I was smashing the ball. If I couldn't play with my brothers in the garden, I was smashing the ball in entry. So say dedication, but it's something I just wanted to do. It just felt natural to me. I got spare 5 minutes. I was just going to boot the ball.
Well, you have to be very passionate about it.
Yeah. I loved it.
You enjoy it more if you're passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, then it's like people say, if you do something you love, it's not like a job. It doesn't seem to drag. Time doesn't drag. Time flies by. I found something that I loved at a very early age. I wanted to be a footballer. I was lucky to be a footballer. I got a 20-year career out of it, and it never seemed like I was actually working for a living, if you know what I mean. I was paid to keep myself fit, scored a couple of goals, but I got to play for the club I supported, made a load of friends along the way. So none of it seemed like for me, if someone said to me, oh, you got to go and play tennis, I played tennis, but to go and play tennis every day and practice my backhand and practice this and that, it drive me mad. But for football, it was a natural thing. Like see the ball outside in my garden now. I could barely walk nowadays, but to get half a chance, I'll boot it. And that's just the way things work. It's like it's something I love, and if something you love, it's never a hardship.
When you start believe you could be a professional footballer?
I always thought by the time we watched Pele and Santos play, I'm going to be a footballer. That's me belief. I've got no way of knowing I'm going to get there, but I want to be a footballer. And then, like I say, I went to secondary school. I had my first awakening. I played against a guy called Paul Dyson. I played against Paul when we were at junior school. This is the final year at junior school. I'm the best player in my year. Paul's the best player, and they're saying, "Who's your best player?" Oh, him. And we look at Paul Dyson, and we were 11 at the time. He's got to be nearly 5'9", 5'10", but he's also got sideburns and he's got a moustache, long blonde hair, and we're like, he's a ringer. You can't play him. He's never like 11 years of age. He can't play. He's played the game, and Paul has dominated the game, and like that was my first real setback. And it was a few weeks later, I joined secondary school, and I bumped into him. You're that geezer, you're that kid. Because I did negative to mention, I did end up trying to fight him because he was that good, and he kind of beat me up. So I had my first real shock, as it were. But then I bumped into the same kid, and we ended up getting in the same school team, and we played together. Paul ended up playing for England schoolboys, and because of the England schoolboys, loads of scouts used to come and watch. Now there's myself, Paul, and a lad called Malcolm Percival. They watched Paul play, and all these clubs wanted him. Coventry sort of took him in the end, and all these scouts came and watched, but they never noticed us. And in the end, I think it was Bob Dennison. He said to Paul, "Have you got any good mates?" And he went, "Oh yeah, Tomo and Percy." And so they invited us down for a couple of days. It went really well. Next thing, I'm now 15. Next thing, I did the 6 weeks holiday. When you train for 6 weeks, the school holidays. That's their pre-season. So we do all that. I end up playing for the reserves just before the season starts. Well, I end up scoring a goal, then playing for the reserves. And before you know it, I'm off. But that's the first time at 15 years of age, making me debut against Aston Villa in the reserves. I think, I tell you what, I've got to have a chance here. I might actually make it. Because
How did it play against Aston Villa?
Yeah, my reserve debut was against Aston Villa. My first team debut for Coventry was against Aston Villa as well. So Villa have always sort of circulated. They've always been in and around it, if you know what I mean.
Before you played for Coventry City,
yeah,
was you scouted, or did you come through the youth academy?
I was scouted in as much as Paul Dyson recommended us. We went down. We had the trials. The trials went really well, and then we ended up. I played in reserves at 15. You leave school at 16. At 15 and a half, whatever, they've offered me an apprentice contract. It's a 2-year deal for £16 going up to £20 in the second year. So I just sat there and I signed. Me and Paul, we signed the contracts, and we were apprentices, so we'd have to do all the horrible jobs and all that. But we got to play football each and every day, and then if you do it good enough, you got in the reserve side. So that's how it all started. Paul Dyson mentioned me, got me a trial. But he mentioned me. I got the trial. The trial seemed to go okay. The regular centre forward for the reserves got injured, and it just so happened I'd scored a goal in the reserves versus first team friendly the few days before. Jimmy Hall was on the mic, and there's a few fans. There was quite a few fans at Highfield Road, and at 15, I ended up making my debut in the reserves, and from there, I'm going to start. They're going to give me an apprentice contract. Pardon me. I get the apprentice contract, and from then I'm in the system. So I was very fortunate how it worked out, and I was very lucky in as much as I got myself playing reserve football at a very, very young age.
I bet football's changed not since you played football.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I played football, it was incredibly physical, and imagine a 15-year-old and you're coming up against the likes of Tommy Smith and people like that. And I played in the first team. When my first team, I had Larry Lloyd, who was ended up being a stalwart. Played for Liverpool, but Nottingham Forest. Big Jim Holton, Jim was a monster, 6'2", eyes of blue, they called him, but he was quick, powerful. Tom Hutchison, Barry Powell. We had some great players. Terry Orth and that. We had some great players, but the game wasn't. It was more a drinking culture, as it were. But they did do an awful lot of running. But now, over the years, towards the end of my career, they started. It got more scientific based because of the way Arsene Wenger worked with his players. Mm-hmm. And anyone that's doing well, if they're successful, everyone's off. We'll have a go at that. And because Wenger made players stretch, he made them work out for a certain amount of time. I think he banned ketchup and stuff like that from the canteen, and he watched their diets, and he got extra yards out of them. But they're a good team, so they're going to do well anyway. But everyone follows that.
Actually, is what it's changed.
What's that?
With the money as well. Money's over the years, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we played, and the average was £500 a week. But Kevin Keegan, he was the top paid player at the time. He was on £3,000 a week. So that was sort of I'll say I'm about 22, 23. That's the kind of money flying around. By the time my career ends, the Premier League has started. I played my season at QPR was the first season of Premier League. So that's 93. That season, Robbie Fowler signs the first £1 million contract for Liverpool, which is 20 grand a week. Alan Shearer, a couple of years later, signs one for about 50 grand. And from there, it just explodes. And like, I don't begrudge the players the money. I mean, I think if someone wants to pay you that, they think you're worth that, then fair play. It's just that when we played, there was never that kind of money around. And even if there was, the clubs were never going to give it to you.
Things were different then.
Yeah. So like we understood the situation. You get a few quid in your contract or whatever, but at the end of the day, until Sky came in with the packaging, the way they did it, there was never that kind of money flying around. When that money came around, quite rightly, the players deserve to get it. They now these kids are now, I would say, finely tuned athletes. They don't drink an awful lot. They don't abuse their bodies. They live well. They stretch well. They eat properly. And obviously, it lengthens their careers. Like we did certain things. When I first made my debut, I got smashed in the face by Kevin Keelan, and I did my knee ligaments at the same. I got the centre half of Kevin Keelan just give me the sandwich, and like I got up, my knee had gone, and like the physio came on, squirted a bit of magic spray on it, and I carried on playing. Next day, my knee's like a balloon. So all they did, they waited till the Thursday, injected me, did nothing on the Friday, played on the Saturday. I did that for 6 weeks. Now my brother, he's in the army. He said to me a couple of years later, you should only ever have 3 cortisone injections a year. I had 6 in 6 weeks, and that's the breadth of knowledge they had, the scientific wise, sports wise, then to now. Nowadays, people would never do that sort of thing. Players now, there's a big enough squad. They rotate the squad so players don't get the kind of injuries that my era had. But then again, if someone said to me, Tomo, you're 60, but you might have a bit of a limp, but you'll play football for the club you support, you'll nick a couple of goals, you'll have a great time, you'll make friends for life, I'm still probably going to go for it.
How did your family feel about you becoming a footballer?
They were delighted. I mean, my mum was worried because obviously when I started playing, the racial thing was quite high. But my mum was always worried about that. But my mum can look after herself, and she believed I could. Like, my dad was the nicest man in the world. They were obviously worried about it, but they never really told me. They never put their worries onto me. Mm-hmm. As far as they were concerned, I was chasing my dream. This was a chance to do something I wanted to do. I mean, there was a story once. Well, that's a story. I was at Coventry one day. I'm an apprentice, and I've been getting so much stick from the coaches, the physio, everybody. And in the end, I'm like, that's it. I ain't doing it no more. I played this game. I think it was Wolves. And I got in a minibus with the lads. I went, listen, I'm going home. I've had enough of this. I can't be talked to this all the time. So I've got back, got my gear, pushed off. So I rang my mum and dad at Coventry Station. They're going to pick me up at the New Street. Get to New Street. My mum and dad took me, and we ended up having. You're too young to remember, but there was like a McDonald's place, but it was called Wimpy. Yeah. And we had a Wimpy. We sat there, had the burger, and had an ice cream float. And they listened to me moan about the physio, the coaches, the way things were going. They let me moan for about best part of half an hour. And then my mum said, right, you're done. Yep, get back on the train. I'm saying, what? I've left. She said, you can't leave. She said, if they say you're not good enough, then fair enough. Yeah. You don't give up on something that you've wanted to do for the last 10 years of your life. You do not walk away from it. And I got back on the train. Then I'm thinking, how am I going to work this with the lads? So I got back in, burst through the door, went, lads, I've come back. And they all just went, your mum sent you back, didn't she? So, yeah. There was one time I was actually looking to quit football, but generally, they were behind me all the way. They wanted me to play football.
Very supportive.
Yeah. My younger brother, Keith, he played for Coventry as well. So it sort of ran in the family. They wanted the best for us. And this football was a chance for us to do something with our lives and make something of our lives. Like, I mean, as I say, my sister became a barrister. My brother is a whiz kid in computer technology. The rest of us, we were sporty, and we played. I mean, they played sports as well, but I wanted to play football. I got a chance to do what I wanted to do. I did. I achieved my dream. I wanted to play football. I wanted to play for Aston Villa. I achieved my dream. I'm made up with that.
What are your memories from your debut in your professional career?
My debut was against Aston Villa. Mick Ferguson, the regular centre forward, got injured, and we played. I think it was Tottenham Hotspur on the Saturday, and then I presumed I'd been scoring goals in the reserves. There was myself and a lad called Frank McGrellis, They didn't pick either of us, and I couldn't understand it because back in them days, the team sheet used to go up for the two teams, first team reserves. We weren't on either, and we were like, "What's going on?" So we went to try and see the manager. The manager wouldn't see us, so like we're fuming. I've gone home for the weekend, but I'm fuming because I can't believe one of us hasn't had a chance. They go to Spurs, they get beat. They played a centre half, Keith Osgood, centre forward. So I am raging. By the time Monday comes round, Tommy Hutchison and all them are winding me up and that, and they used to call me Bomber in them days. Like, they said, Bomber, how can you not get the team? How come you're not in the squad? And I was like, yeah, Gaffer don't know what he's on about. And this has gone on. In the end, we're having lunch, and that I went to go and sit with my teammates and that, and they said, "Oh, come and sit with us." And they kept pestering me. I ended up sitting down, and I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to wind me up to say something about the manager, which obviously I fell for. And by the time I go, yeah, he ain't got a clue what he's doing. Gordon Milne comes through the door, and they're going, "Don't tell us. He's there. Tell him." And I'd actually poo my pants. Gordon Milne goes, "My office now." Went into the office, and he says, "You got a problem?" There was a lot of stuttering and blubbering from me and blah, 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 one of them. But in the end, I just went, well, I just thought you play, how can you play a centre half, centre forward? It doesn't make sense to me. And he said, because we wanted you to have your debut at home. So you'll be playing against Aston Villa tomorrow. You're making your debut, but you better be good. Now get out of my office. And that's when I realised I'm going to make my debut. And from there, it just went on. I got the chance to make my debut. And like I say, my mum and dad came down. But it happened so quickly. I got my chance, and before you know it, I'm starting to play games in the team. I then break my leg in 3 places, which looks like it's going to shatter my career.
Painful.
Yeah, I came back after, I think I was out for 11 months, but I came back, and luckily got back. We ended up getting to the League Cup semi-final. I finally get my under-21 cap. We win the under-21 championships, and from there, I end up going to West Brom about a year later. But only because Coventry had lost a lot of money in America and they were skint. I didn't know they were skint. Jimmy rang me one night and said, "You're off to West Brom tomorrow." And I was like, "No, you're right. I'm happy here." And he went, "No, you're going to West Brom because in 6 weeks' time we're going bankrupt." And my wife, who is the brains of the operation, just said, "Listen, think about this. Like, you better have the conversation." So I went to have a conversation. Ron Wiley, who was my coach at Coventry, ended up manager of West Brom. Wanted to sign me, and he just bullied me into signing the contract. I had no intention of signing for the Albion, but he sort of bullied me. And to be fair, I've got to be honest, the Albion treated me like a prince from the moment I went there. Scored a few goals for him, loved my time there. So it all worked out nice, if you know what I mean. But when I woke up that morning, there was no intention of leaving Coventry City, but I did have a good time there. And with most of my clubs, but I suppose because I enjoyed what I wanted to do, there's no clubs at all where I turn around and think, "Oh, I hated that," or "I didn't enjoy that at all." My career, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Did you remember your first goal you scored?
First goal I scored was against Wolverhampton Wanderers at Highfield Road. Bob Hazel was marking me, him and George Berry, and it was a strike as opposed to people, because I was good in the air. People always presumed I just could head it and that, but the ball was played. Barry Powell played the ball down the channel to me. I outpaced Bob Hazel. Bob Hazel was massive. If you see pictures of him, you Google him. Bob Hazel, he's like the side of the house, but he was quick. And I managed to hold him off, but I knew he was gonna club me, and I managed to get me striking. Ball's gone in the net. Bob Hazel then has whacked me. I went up on the floor, but it's a goal. That's my first ever one, and I was off and running. And then you think you're on top of the world. Oh yeah, I mean, to score a goal, you can't describe how good it feels, because it's that moment where, for a few seconds, you just completely lose it. You're one with the crowd, even the ones that hate you. Say you score away from home, but your fans are there. You're at one with the crowd because you've done something they wanted you to do, and you made everybody happy. It's a beautiful feeling. It's hard to describe how it is, but it's almost like a few seconds of euphoria, and that's why now they have this the VAR and all that. I just think it kills the moment, because I was watching someone the other day who scored a goal and they're waiting and oh yeah, okay, there's a goal now. Like, I just think it just kills that split second of bang, you've scored the goal, you're one with the crowd. Even if you go to the crowd, all of a sudden it's a beautiful feeling. If you've got to wait and then, oh yeah, you can have the goal now, I just think it just kills the moment.
I'll tell you a few stats about Garry Thompson. Scored 124 goals in your football playing career. Coventry City.
Yeah.
You scored 49 goals in 158 appearances. And for West Bromwich Albion, you was Player of the Year in the 1984-85 season, and you scored 19 goals at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Pretty good stats.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big target man, as it were, centre forward type. But before I broke my leg, I was very, very quick. After I broke my leg, I was reasonably quick. But yeah, I wanted to score goals. They've always got me to get in areas where I can score goals. Towards the end of my career, obviously, the goal tally dries up a bit, but I did get more assists. I was more creative, as it were, like joining in. I wanted to be more as a team player, because goal scorers just think about themselves. They just want to score goals. They ain't Bobby. If they lose 5-1, but they get the one, I've seen strikers sit there and just be delighted because they got the one. And for me, it was all about the team benefit. Dave Sexton used to say to me, like, the individuals can only get stronger if the team is united. And the team has to be united for the individual to show what he can do. And so it always stuck with me. And Dave, I was 21 when Dave came to Coventry, and he was such a wise, intelligent man and a very, very good football coach. And so I just learned an awful lot off him. Obviously, I scored goals, but I made, more so than the goals, I made loads of friends in my team, as it were. Like, so when we were in a team, that feeling of playing with your teammates after you've won a game, it's been a battle, you've gone away from home, you've got the result. You can't buy that feeling. And like you say, if you score a goal as well, that feeling of camaraderie of the 15 of you together, or whatever it is, you can't buy that. It's a beautiful feeling.
What was your reminiscence for the first day you started for Aston Villa? What are your memories from that day?
Aston Villa tried to sign me twice before, and each time it didn't work out. But the second time they tried to sign me, I was leaving West Brom. It's a long story, but I went to Servette Geneva for a conversation with the club. While I was away, Albion signed 2 players off the back of the money they were going to get for me. The deal then fell through because the Albion chairman found out something else about the club in Geneva. So he's asked for more money. The deal has changed. I've come back, but now I'm not surplus, but we've got Crookston, Berardi and myself. Someone's got to be sold. They've just bought them 2 in, so it's got to be me. So, like, yeah, I mean, I ended up having to leave and go to Sheffield Wednesday. But my memories of that time at the Albion, my time at Coventry, of scoring goals and being involved with some great mates, was fantastic. But actually, I always wanted to play for Villa, so I get the chance to play for Aston Villa. My last game for Sheffield Wednesday is the last game of the season. Ron Wiley, yet again, his assistant manager at Aston Villa, Graham Turner's the manager. Game finishes, the players all go to the crowd and clap the crowd and that. And Ron Wiley's just waiting at the bottom of the dugout, at the tunnel, should I say. And he goes, "Hey, Palmer, come here." So I walk over to him and I says, "What's up?" He said, "Will you come to Villa?" And I went, like a shot. And he said, "Right, we'll get something sorted." Now, people say that to people all the time. Mm-hmm. So I just took it with a pinch of salt. Howard Wilkinson is at the top of the dugout. He clocks what's happening and loads of expletives, but basically, get yourself in this dressing room. I got in the dressing room and he gave me a rollicking for daring to talk to the opposition. I didn't think anything else about it. Mm-hmm. That summer, Howard Wilkinson's in Mexico because England play in Mexico in the World Cup. When Maradona scores the goal with his hand and also yeah. So and the phone rings. I'm back home in Sheffield. Like, the phone rings. It's Howard Wilkinson. So, hello, Gaffer, what's up? And he says, Aston Villa coming with an offer. And like, even though I was a Villa fan and I would have jumped at it, the year at Sheffield Wednesday hadn't gone as well goal scoring wise as I wanted it to. So I was prepared. I wanted another year to prove I could do it. I mean, we ended up 3rd in the league, so we would have been in Europe that year, the next season, and also ended up getting the FA Cup semi-final. I think we were in the League Cup quarter-final. We had a great season, as it were, but just we didn't quite make it. And I knew I could score more goals with Sheffield Wednesday. And like he said, Aston Villa come in with an offer, and Howard said, "You can go, you can stay. It's up to you. That's it." Now, if Howard goes, "Listen, son, you ain't scored enough goals this year, but we can get more goals from you." We've got Brian Marwood on one side, Mel Sterling throwing balls into the box. We've got Nigel Worthington. We've got service here. Because Lee Chapman was the centre forward, and I played wide off the centre forward. Anyone see me play, that ain't my game. But that's how it was. So I'm thinking, like, give me the chance to do it. And he just said, "You can go or you can stay." And I thought, well, if the gaffer is not particularly bothered either way, I'm going to Villa. So I went to Villa, had a chat with Doug. Doug said it was the easiest deal he ever did because he offered me the equivalent of 38 quid, or 38 and a half quid, and a company car. So I signed for Villa. And then it was a beautiful moment for me dad. For
I mean, it's
family.
unforgettable.
Yeah. I mean, I was made up, and I was so excited, and I was so nervous. My first day of pre-season, I knew Gary Shaw from the under-21s anyway, but to meet some of the players there, and by then, even though I was a fan, I hadn't took too much notice of Aston Villa's results or what had been going on. They had got rid of the team that won the European Cup, the League, and the Super Cup, and they basically got a bunch of kids, and they bought myself, Martin Keown, and Neil Cooper, and we were going to be the new spine of the side. So we've gone in there, and I remember after the first week's training, every 2 weeks I go to my mum and dad's for dinner with my lad and my missus. Went to dinner, and my old man's like, "What's he like then? Go on, give me all the gin and that." And I just went, "Well, it's not quite how you think." I've just come from a Sheffield Wednesday, which is a very, very organised football club in every aspect, and I've gone to Aston Villa, which was basically, it was very, very off the cuff. And I just thought, well, it'll get better once I get games under my belt. So I was trying to tell my old man, he wasn't having it. He was saying, "Get you ready in the game. You're next to score goals and all that." Anyway, we start the season. We don't start it particularly well. And then I think I scored my first goal against Wimbledon in my third game. But the feeling is there's something not quite right. There's no real togetherness in the squad. We end up losing quite a few games. Graham Turner gets the sack. Billy McNeil comes in. Billy McNeil, I went on record at one time saying I thought he was a bad manager. But when I thought about it after, Billy McNeil got the sack from Man City and walked straight into the Aston Villa job. This is a kid. I'll say this man won the European Cup with Celtic, played for his country a load of times. This man knew the game, and I think he was shell-shocked. By the time he come to Villa, he was a shell of a man, and it almost broke him, getting sacked and then coming to Villa, getting sacked from Villa, and obviously then Billy McNeil. The more I thought about it, the more I probably judged him too harshly, and we never did the business we were supposed to do. I ended up getting another career-ending injury, and we got relegated. So my first season was as bad as you could have a season. If you say like as a fan and a player,
It was a hard season.
Yeah, it was a horrendous season. And my old man worked at British Leyland, Longbridge, and you can imagine the abuse he was getting, and so you can imagine the abuse he would send to me. When I went to Villa Park, we got slagged off, as you would do. Gary Shaw, fair play to him. After every away game, he made sure we always went into the pub by the ground. So we went into a pub because there's fans in there, and you take a bit of stick to start with, but you end up chatting about football and that, and they probably realised that we weren't complete asses as they probably thought we were when they watched us play. Graham Taylor walks into the club. I got an injury which keeps me out for, I think, nearly about 10, 11 months, but they don't know what it is. Graham Taylor walks into the building. A load of players go. He brings in a load of honest, hard-working players, and he also brings in a guy called Jim Walker. Jim Walker's a physio. Jim Walker essentially saves my career because he works out. I kept getting fit and breaking down. Villa had started this season in what is now the Championship. They're drawing, losing. They can't get a run going. I'm watching the games, and it all comes to a head. Villa play Blues at Villa Park. It's my first derby as a Villa player, and me and Gary Shaw, we do. You get your preparation right. We did our training in the morning. Went for a bit of lunch and a few beers at TGI's, got ourselves into the mood, got ourselves ready for the big game, sat ready for the game, and then we got beat by Blues at Villa Park. And it was as devastating. Oh, and like they clocked Shorey as well. We were sitting in one of the boxes, and Shorey's obviously good-looking, blonde, blue-eyed and that. They look up and they clock in the Blues fans because they're just below us. And they start chanting and shouting things at him. And I just melted in the background, like, Shorey gets hammered. The two of us who like to go out and socialise, we both went home that night. We were just devastated. And I was like, this is horrendous. And in the end, Jim Walker took me to a guy called Paddy Armour. He managed to work out what my problem was. They got me fit. It took me 8 weeks. And the annoying thing was, I've been out for the best part of eight months. And once they worked out the problem, 8 weeks later, I'm back training, I'm back playing. And Graham Taylor, fair play to him, he puts me straight in the team. We play Bradford in the Zenith Data Cup or something. It's my first game, and we get beat 5-0. I play 60 minutes. Graham says to me, "That's brilliant." He says, "I'm really, really happy with your work." And that, he says, "Get ready. We're coming in the morning." So I think I'm going in for a sauna and a bath and a stretch and all that. He gets me in. He takes me to Aston Park over the road. He runs me because Graham Taylor could run. We ran every inch of Aston Park.
I think Graham Taylor was a real character.
Oh, yeah. Strong man. But he got the club, the players in that he wanted, that he thought could do the job. Not the most gifted players, not the best players, but honest, hard-working players. We had the likes of that McInally who came in, who was a bit of stardust. Mark Walters left and got to Glasgow Rangers.
Was it Alan McInally like?
Brilliant. Alan McInally came into the club, and Alan McInally is he was brought to replace me. If I'd have been fit when Graham walked into the club, Graham would have sold me. Graham couldn't sell me because I was injured, so he's got to get me fit to sell me. Macca comes in. Macca's there for 2 weeks and gets injured. Me and Alan McInally do exercises together, stretching together. We work together for the best part of 2 months, and we become best mates. And Alan McInally is still now probably my best mate in football. So that bugs Graham to death because he's brought Macca to replace me, and the two of us are thick as thieves. Next thing, I'll get back in the team. Macca gets back in the team, start scoring a few goals. We end up getting promotion. Although saying that, we should have got promotion before we had the 0-0 draw at Swindon, but we got promotion. And from then, we were off and running. We're back into the Premier League. I don't realise at the time, Graham Taylor is a very, very intelligent man. He's looked at me playing, and he messed me about for a good bit, and then I got sold to Watford. We never spoke for... No, I went from Watford to Crystal Palace. I scored on my debut against Crystal Palace, against Aston Villa, and half cost him. Because I think Cascarino and them were playing up front, and they looked like they could win the title or get close to the title. They ended up coming third or whatever. And me and Graham, that's the last time we spoke for about 10 years. We never made our peace. I couldn't understand why he'd done. And I walked into Edgbaston cricket ground one day, into the box, and my mate who'd had the box went, "Oh, your mate's here." I went, "Who's that?" He went, "Graham Taylor." I went, "See you later." And he went, No, come have a chat. So we sat down. I've had a glass of wine, as you do. My nephew's with me, and we're having a glass of wine, a beer, and that. And bit by bit, I get closer to him. And in the end, as blokes, you have it out, don't you? Now then, how about when you kicked me out of Villa and the way you treated me and all that? And he said, basically, what Graham said was, I essentially was a Premier League, Premier League and Championship. I was essentially a Premier League striker. I got my injury. I became a Championship striker. Villa got promoted to the Premier League. I was no good to him because I would sit on the bench and play the odd few games here and there. And he knew my nature. I wouldn't accept that. So he said he thought it was best to get me out of the club because he thought I would be a pest. And at the time when he said it, I disputed it. I'm like, I'm not having that. I love Aston Villa. Why would I cause trouble now? But the more I think about it, because you walk away and you think about things, and I think, yeah, he might have had a point. I wouldn't have been disruptive, but I probably wouldn't have been happy to just sit on the bench week in, week out. So Graham, he was all right. We made our peace, and after that, until he passed, we was okay.
And going back to when you were younger, who was your football idol growing up?
Brian Little. For us growing up as kids, like Chico Hamilton was the man, and then Brian Little got in the team, and Brian Little was the man. Everyone wanted to be Brian Little because he had silky feet, could score goals, he was quick, could play up front.
Can you hear me all right still, yeah? I think I might have lost him, I think. Don't matter. What do I do? Don't know. Hello, Gary. All right, Gary.
Hello.
Yes, I lost you there.
Yeah, you just disappeared. And there's me waxing about Brian Little, and it all went horribly wrong. But Brian Little for us growing up was the man. And then a centre forward walked into this football club. And let's be fair, Brian Little, Andy Lockett, before Brian Little, everybody loved Andy Lockett because he was powerful, could score goals and that. Keith Leonard, who got a terrible, terrible injury, he would have been the next one on the conveyor belt. Brian Little was the man. We all loved Brian Little. And then a centre forward walked in from Scotland. And I said this to his son. The 15 or 18 months he played for Aston Villa was the best centre forward displays I've ever seen. Consistently, to score goals, to cause problems, to be a handful, to blend the ball back into play. He was my blueprint, and that was Andy Gray. His first time at Villa, the second time round, I played with him, and he was playing off one leg. He weren't the same. But when Andy Gray was first at Villa, that spell was as magnificent a centre-forward display that you saw week in, week out. The kid was absolutely magnificent. And Brian Little and John Dean played alongside Andy, and that was as good a centre-forward display as I've ever seen.
It's a great partnership.
Yeah. And Andy became... Brian Little was always the man. He was always my main hero. But Andy Gray after that was very, very close with Aston Villa.
Andy Gray was a very intelligent footballer.
Yeah. Because he wasn't... Andy was about 5'9", 5'10" maximum. And when you stand next to him and talk to him, he wasn't that big or that powerful, but he could propel his body. He had a great leap. He timed the game. He timed attacking the ball well. He come across centre halves and won headers. He worked very, very hard. Had a great strike on him. He knew intelligent. He knew where to go. He knew the runs to make. And he just got it. He got football. And as I say, he was a massive hero of mine. Then I met him, and I was just in awe of him because he was brilliant. Villa got relegated that year. Andy I think he moved on to West Brom. But Andy Gray, that goal scoring spell and centre forward spell was as good as I've ever seen.
Andy Gray played a lot of Midlands teams.
Yeah. Went to Wolves for a ridiculous amount of money. But to be fair, Ron Saunders, as a manager, he had to get rid of Andy Gray and John Dean because he wanted a hard-working, honest side with Shaw, Morley, and Cowans to give the little bit of stardust, to do the skillful or creative bits. But they had some hard-working players. Dennis Mortimer at Coventry, very creative player, covered ground for fun. He was like long-haired, and at Coventry, we always looked at Dennis as brilliant. And I was only a schoolboy at the time. Dennis played for Aston Villa. By the time I see Dennis playing for Aston Villa, covering ground, breaking play up, him and Des Bremner getting forward, he changed his game, but he became an even better player because of it.
What's all your memories from the 1987-88 promotion season?
Like I say, I wasn't in the team to start with. I was injured. I got myself fit. But the abiding memory is all them players, your Kevin Gages, the two Andy Gray, Stuart Gray, the black Andy Gray, should I say. So there's Stuart Gray, Kevin Gage. I'm just trying to think. Like Mark Lillis. Sure, he was in and around the squad as well. Big Macca, Steve Sims, Alan Evans, who's a proper warrior. We had Nigel Spink and Kevin Paul. We had a team at the togetherness. We went everywhere together. We drank together. We played up together. Graham Taylor made us stay in a hotel the night before because when he came in, he said this club's fragmented. The fans hate you. You don't even seem to like each other. You don't even train well together. He made us eat together all the time. We stayed in hotels. So we were playing at Villa Park on the Friday afternoon. We booked into a hotel. We'd be in the hotel Friday, play Saturday, and then you could leave the hotel Saturday night and go off and do whatever. But he wanted us together at all times because he felt the best way to get to togetherness. He made us train at Villa Park. So in that respect, we got used to playing at a ground where generally the fans hated us and we had to win them back. And the only way you win them back is by winning games and showing endeavour, which is what we did. So my memories are all good. I mean, I remember we went out. If we went out with Birchie and all them, we all went out together. It was a group thing. Yeah. And that's why I find the best teams. They got a togetherness and a belief and they just want to hang with each other. And even now, when I bump into like Mark Lillis down at Villa Park or Kevin Gage and that, we just love each other because we went through something special. We got relegated, and for the likes of myself, it was a horrendous time. But if you flipped it a year later, we get promoted. And regardless of what happened with myself and Graham Taylor, I'm a player that played at the club I support, the club I love, and I actually helped get them promoted. Obviously, I probably helped them get relegated, but I helped get promoted. And so I'm delighted with that. And so my memories, they're all good. They're great. We went off to Marbella as soon as the season ended. We went for a week and we just drank and reminisced and had a great time. We're like brothers. We're all very, very tight now. But because what we shared, that experience we shared of getting Villa promoted, you can't buy that. What we got is very special.
Well, you contributed to getting Villa to the top flight.
Yeah, but we've all played our bit. We're stepping stones on the way. Yeah, and we're just grateful to be part of that. Some players stayed and played a bit longer, but if that was the spell, if someone said to me, "Listen, this is the only spell you're going to get. You're going to get 2.5 years. First year's going to be horrendous. Second year's going to be really good. The half a year there's a bit falling out." I'd still take it tomorrow because I got a chance to play for the club I support. I got a chance to wear the claret and blue. I got a chance to score at Villa Park. I scored at Villa Park anyway for Coventry and whatever, and the Albion, but got a chance to score for Aston Villa. I love it, and even now when I go down the ground, it still gives me a buzz to see the pitch and all that. It's nice.
I'll just give a drink, mate.
Yeah, I think I might have one as well.
Was it your dream to play for Aston Villa?
Yeah. When you're a kid, and like I say, once the game against Santos, I wanted to be at that club. I wanted to play for Aston Villa. I wanted to score I want to score Aston Villa. I want to score at the Holt End. I want to be part of it. And I spent half my career trying to get to be part of it. When I first got to be part of it, it wasn't too good. Second bit was very, very good. So yeah, I achieved my dream. And not many people in life can say they did that. We all start out with ambitions and plans and whatever, and not many of us actually get a chance to do that. And in the great scheme of things in life in general, it's not the greatest ambition in the world. But as a young kid, that's what I wanted to do, and I got a chance to do it.
Is it your boyhood club?
Yeah. So like, yeah, and most people, you get a chance to play for your boyhood club, you ain't going to turn it down. Nowadays, there's so much money in it. Players might be tempted to not do that, but for me, it was never a debate. Doug said it was the easiest deal he ever did, and it was never. Obviously, we all like money, we want money, but it was never about money. I got a chance to achieve my dream, and I know how proud it would have made me old man, or it did make me old man. So I wanted to do that. And I got a chance to do it, and for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Fair play to you. What are your thoughts on Unai Emery? And realistically, what do you think we can achieve this season?
I think Unai Emery is an absolutely fantastic manager. Obviously, watching last night, he's admitted he made a tactical error, but at the end of the day, we have come. If you imagine where we were this time last year, we're talking about relegation. All of a sudden, we're playing in the Conference League and that, and we're making mistakes in the Conference League, and we're getting beaten in the Conference League. When you think, this time last year, if someone said, listen, you might play in the Conference League, they'd have been like, yeah, all right. He's a fella, he knows his job, he knows what he wants to do. He's very, very good coaching the players. He's developing players as well at Aston Villa. The player, Moreno and John Duran, the only two that came in initially. We finished the season with a fantastic run.
Yeah.
I think only Man City had a better run than us. We started the season, we brought some new players in. Some of the new players are having to adapt and struggling to adapt to it. But you can see what he's trying to do. You can see the ability we've got. Pau Torres, for me, fantastic footballer with the ball. Not particularly comfortable with the physicality yet, but he will get there.
It's a bit like Xavi.
Yeah, I mean, he's passed more forward balls into the final third than any player in the Premier League. That tells you we're a forward-thinking team. We want to break forward. We look like we go square and back a lot, but we're always probing. We moving the ball, moving it to left and right, into midfield, come back out, go the other side, to find that gap, to hurt the seams. The only thing that worries me about Unai is the high line we play sometimes, which can cost us.
We get caught out sometimes with that.
Yeah. And every now and again, I think if he wants to keep playing that way, every now and again we will get battered for 5, but 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 we'll get decent results. And over a season, you take that all day. I mean, we played Brighton the end of last season, and we had to win the game to get into the Conference League. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Dennis and Dav twice and Ferguson once. They got clean through 1-on-1 and never scored. And I'm watching this and I'm saying our line is too high. We can't keep doing that. But fair to Unai, they've kept doing it. They kept working. Tyrone Mings got injured, and he's the organiser. Without him, we do seem to struggle a bit.
We miss his leadership.
Yeah. But it's time for the others to step up. But generally, you can see what the manager wants to do. We've brought in some very, very good footballers as well. The thing's looking good. I mean, we lost last night, and he said it was a tactical error. I thought we made too many changes. I think the likes of Longley and all them that wasn't the game for them. Maybe against who we playing Everton next week in the cup. Yeah. Maybe that was the game to bring him in. But, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He's made the decision, didn't really work out. But we've got 5 other opportunities to resurrect this, to get this right. And I think we'll do it. I think this fella knows his stuff. Very, very good. I can't speak highly enough of him.
He's a genius.
Yeah, because everyone's saying, Villa are favourites to win the cup and all that. And I kept saying, listen, we were 90 seconds away from beating Stevenage. And all of a sudden, 90 seconds later, we're 2-1 down and we're out of the cup. So never get carried away with it. Do your job, do the bits, see the game in front of you, see that one out and build. And eventually, if we get towards Athens, brilliant. But regardless, we will go deep in the competition. This fella knows his stuff. I can't speak highly enough of him. He knows his stuff. He knows what he wants to do, and he's got us playing. We play football now. We scored a goal the other day. I think we had 19 passes with Burnley. 19
yes, it was,
passes. Yeah. So, and that tells me Stephen Gerrard, absolutely wonderful footballer. As a manager, he ain't ready yet. We brought him in on his name. We've actually brought in a coach manager now who can do the job. Unai Emery, and with Monchi looking to sign players, Unai Emery is a gem. And we've managed to nick something that people were taking a mickey of, the spell he had at Arsenal. His spell at Arsenal before it all went wrong was as good as anyone in the Premier League. All of a sudden, he had the last few months, he didn't go too well, and things turned on him, and people were on about the way he spoke and the fact that he couldn't speak proper English and all that. He coaches football. At the end of the day, he's gone away, he's learnt the language, he's come back, he knows his stuff. I'll back him to the hill.
God, did not expect us to finish 7th last season.
No. The way we were going,
I was top 10.
Yeah, exactly. I was happy with 10th. I thought after playing his first game where we could have got into the bottom 3, you're sitting there, you're thinking, well, if we can finish 10th, we'd be happy with that. And we've ended up having to beat Brighton to get into the Conference League. We never imagined that. And you're thinking, that would be brilliant. And that was brilliant. We had a great celebration. It was only then I realised we had to play a qualifier to get into the league properly. But we played Hibs. We smashed them. And we moved on. We got 5 games to get this right. And I would put my money on Unai getting the thing right.
Is it 5 games in the group stage?
What's that?
There are 5 games in the group stage.
Well, there's 6, but obviously we lost last night, so we got 5 left. But we got five to do. But we'll be all right.
What is your verdict for last night?
I just thought we didn't pass the ball well enough. We didn't keep the ball well enough. Our 2 fullbacks were very, very poor on the day. I thought Chambers struggled massively. Luca Dean defensively was caught out. Obviously, he got his goal and he's great going forward. But sometimes when the ball's on the other foot, he has to tuck himself around a little bit. I actually thought at half time he was going to move Konza out to fullback and put Chambers in centre half if you weren't going to make any changes. Because at centre half, Chambers ain't going to get exploited for pace too much. But him and Longley, maybe that was a little bit soft as well. But they deserved it. They were organised and they wanted to get the ball into areas to hurt us, and they did. I thought John Duran took his goal very, very well. I think Zaniolo looks a player. He drifted out of it a little bit. A bit worried that John McGinn sort of didn't figure last night. But on the balance, it was a bad day at the office generally. We set up the wrong. I thought with the back 4 wasn't the right choice. I don't think it was the way we set up was right. But how many times has he made a mistake, or how many times have we got beaten and come away like this and thinking, that ain't too good. There's too many times, and that's
control the game better.
Yeah, and that's what we normally do. We control the game, and I thought with the fans the way they were, we were going to take the sting out of the game, keep the ball, move it, wear them out because they're an oldish side, and then we would strike, we get our goals and all that. But they scored, obviously we scored, then they scored, then we have to score, and then they get again, and we cannot get back. We throw the big guns on, we can't get back. But I just think it's a lesson learned. And every defeat, you should learn something from it and move on. Use this as good experience. Yeah. We've got a massive game against Chelsea now, the weekend, who ain't the best team in the world. They've got some very, very good players, but no real organisation at the minute.
Because defensively, we just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and it starts with the back 4. We didn't have no protection with the two midfield players in front of the back 4. There was no real protection, but we couldn't keep the ball. So we keep giving the ball away. They keep hurting us out wide as well. The game was always a recipe for disaster. But these things happen. So what you got to do is just move on from it. Move on. Learn your lessons. Yeah. But we'll be okay.
What do you expect from Chelsea on Sunday?
A very good footballing side. Some very, very good players, but not a team yet. And they haven't got a focal point. So they could talk about Nkunku coming back. But even when he comes back, he's not a target man. He's not a out-and-out striker. Nicholas Jackson's a very, very good player. They've got good players, but they've got no real goals in at the minute. And I say this, and hoping that they don't beat us. They somehow start scoring goals. They've got good players in there, but at the minute, it's not a team. And I would fancy us to get something there. I fancy us to win the game, to be honest.
Because Chelsea don't really worry me.
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea. I've watched Chelsea play a load of times this season on TV and whatever. They have no goal threat at the minute, and the chance when you haven't got a goal threat, there's always a chance you give away a goal. You know the game's up. I think they've got good footballers, but they're not in any shape to cause teams problems at the minute. It will take time, and so I fancy us to get a result.
During Pochettino, the same transition, Chelsea.
Yeah. So that's going to transit people because Chelsea spent £1 billion. People are like, well, they're going to be better than that. No, it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Pochettino needs time to.
You can't
gel
wave a
together.
magic wand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you spend money, people think it's going to just work out straight away. We're talking about human beings here. We're talking about getting them to gel and mix together and play together. It takes time, and it don't matter how much money you spend at it, unless you get the right blend. You've got to work to get the right blend. Pochettino's working at the minute to get the right blend, and hopefully he gets the right blend about Christmas time after we've battered them.
Yeah, because have you seen the Bournemouth guy they played?
Yeah, I watched that game as well. Yeah,
They
like
look
I
quite
say,
poor.
yeah. I mean, individually, very, very good players, but they've got no structure as a team. They've got no discipline in staying in that structure, and so you're looking at 11 very good footballing players that don't seem to gel together. A decent organised team like Bournemouth will cause them problems. We are a decent organised team. If we turn up on the day, we'll give them a very good game.
I'll go on to the next question now. Did you enjoy your managerial career?
Yeah, I saw myself more as a coach because I used to join in the training, but I used to demonstrate. So I enjoyed the coaching aspect of it. When Ian Holloway left and I was caretaker manager, and we were just holding the ship. Jerry Francis came in as manager. Jerry then left a few months later, and I ended up being caretaker manager, but ended up getting the job. I didn't really want the job. I wanted to coach, but I ended up coaching. I ended up managing. I enjoyed the tactical side of it, but to be honest, I saw myself as a coach. I never really saw myself as a manager. I saw myself more as a coach, but I enjoyed every aspect apart from dealing with the directors after a game and all that. I didn't really enjoy that bit because that everybody knows better than you, don't they? And I'm like, why don't you manage it then? if you think you're that good, you manage it. But yeah, apart from, I mean, like I say, that it was an experience, and I wouldn't, unless I had the experience, I wouldn't know. But I had experience, and it was okay. But if I had a choice of managing or coaching, I'd coach all day.
I always remember Ian Holloway.
Yeah.
Managing Blackpool.
Yeah. Ollie was with Bristol Rovers with us, and he was a brilliant manager. Very oddball at times, but he was very organised. Knew what he wanted to do. Wanted to play football. Always wanted players to express themselves. But he's a bit odd at times, and players sometimes didn't know how to handle him. But he managed a load of clubs. He left Rovers, went to Blackpool. He went to QPR. He's had about 15 football clubs. So
He's a good career.
Yeah. As a player, I played with him at QPR, so I know him really well. But he's a lovely fella, and as a manager, he's very, very good. If you have the right people with him, we had myself and Gary Penrice, then it works because we know each other, we know what each other's strengths are, and he got the best out of all of us, and we got the best out of him.
If you could, Garry, can you spread the word about my podcast?
Yeah. I mean, if you contact me on Twitter and that, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well, you text me on Twitter. I'll just retweet it and all that. And if you want me to do anything and spread the word or mention anything or do anything, give me a shout because I'm only a text away, as they say.
I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. So I didn't know about this. I've heard of muscular dystrophy before, but not Duchenne. I didn't know about this until I just heard you say it, and it's just a shock to me. But yes, anything you need, give me a shout.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
What's your score prediction for Sunday?
I think we'll beat Chelsea 2-1.
Yeah, well, I've actually done that as well. I went 2-1 as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I'll go for 3-1 because they'll come at us in the last few minutes and then we'll catch them on the counter and we'll get the third goal. I'll go 3-1. You have 2-1.
That's a good way to bounce back.
That's what we got to. Good teams bounce back. Good teams don't get beat. Good teams find a way to get a reaction. And I think Sunday we'll get one.
I'll go to the last question now, Garry.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write your autobiography?
Bill Howell, to be fair. He's a journalist. We go and watch football together. I'd always sit and have an opinion on positions and this and that. And Bill went to me, first he said, "Oh, you ever done any commentating?" No. And then he said, "You've got so many stories. Why don't you do a book?" Not interested. And as I said, who's gonna be interested in the warblings of an older gentleman? But he kept at me, and Stuart Curtis, who I knew from the Albion, he's got a book publishing company. He kept at me as well. And in the end, They bribed me with beer. They got me drunk one night. I had a couple of beers and persuaded me to start. Gave me a dictaphone. I started telling stories. Gave Bill the dictaphone. He wrote them down. He had to do all the research to make sure my stories are true and that they'd tally up. But yeah, they tallied up. And halfway through, I really got the bug for it. When the book came out, I was really proud. The thing that swayed it was my boy, because I told my son, "Oh, Bill's on about me writing a book, and I'm really interested." And as he said, like, listen, you got loads of stories, but what happens when you get older and all that, and the grandkids, or his kids, his children, my grandchildren, when they want to know what Granddad did and all that, he said, "Why don't you put something down?" So that's how I started, and now I'm really pleased with it. I mean, loads of people have come back and said they really enjoyed it. They feel it's an honest book. It's funny in parts, but yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And so yeah,
Can you get an audio book?
No, someone's asked me about doing that. I haven't done one yet, but I think that might be the next thing. Although I'm too sure people want to listen to my drawl. I'll have to get an actor to do it.
For those of you who don't know about this book, it's called Don't Believe a Word.
Yeah, it's my homage.
Did you release it in lockdown?
And after lockdown, we released it just after lockdown, and then the idea was always for me to do Q&As and meet fans and just have a drink and a giggle and all that, which I've done quite a few of them. Like I do enjoy that as well. But yeah, that was the idea, and it seems to have worked all right. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed meeting fans and chatting with fans, and I did a bit of Villa Park one day. So yeah, it's been a great experience. And like I say, the book came out. All McAnally, Kevin Gage, all them rang me straight away. Don't put me in the book. Don't mention my name. But I have no idea why they didn't want me to mention them. But yeah, the book's come out and everyone seems to be happy with the end product. So yeah, it's called Don't Believe a Word. You can get it from Curtis Sports. And who knows, there might even be an audio book eventually.
Oh yeah, I'm going to look at some comments.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh yeah, we just got one comment. Can I read that out? Yeah. Oh yeah, Adam McGeo. Nice interview, guys, at the Villa.
Nice one.
All right then, Garry, I'm going to bring this episode to a close.
Beautiful. Well, like I say, what I'll do, if you tweet me, I shall retweet it, and we'll get the word out there. We'll spread it to more people, and as many Villa fans as possible, link into you, and wait for the next podcast. I'll check it out myself as well.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, give it a like, share, and please subscribe to my channel. Remember to get your post notifications turned on. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much, Garry, for your time.
Not a problem. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
The last thing that is left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa. I'll have that.